welcome to another Huddle Breakdown Extra Time. I'm your host Martin Murphy, and joined as ever by Alan and by James. How are you guys?
All right, yeah, but been doing a lot of driving the last week, so
Yeah.
a little bit tired, but otherwise okay.
And what about you, James?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Life's been hectic this week, but looking forward to chatting up some Celtic here. A lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on.
For the spreadsheet shagging community, lots of topics to get into. When things get a little hairy and crazy and you drop points, I mean, that's perversely can make things a little more interesting from an analytical perspective. So
thank goodness we've got a transfer window ahead of us as well, James. We've got all sorts going on. So, as you say, James, an action-packed show. Really, it is extra time in the show, and we'll be diving into look in depth at the matchup at Dundee. We'll be looking ahead to the Scottish Cup tie against Kilmarnock, and maybe having a bit of a consideration about some areas that we might be, we're certainly interested in players. We're getting linked left, right and centre, so maybe have a look at one or two of those. But if we start straight away, really considering the game up at Dens, started really well, didn't it? Looked in total control, then seemed to get hit with a lot of energy and enthusiasm from this youthful Dundee side. If I come to you first of all, Alan, where do you think the game changed? Where did it swing from us being in control?
Yeah, so I think you're spot on in using the word energy. I mean, Dundee played with tremendous energy, and I don't think Celtic were particularly sluggish to begin with. I thought the control, early goal, and then the control was good. It was not easy to break down what was a very deep and compact, incredibly compact defence. They concertinaed the whole team right on the edge of the box, and there was no gaps between the lines at all. So you were having to go kind of round and over, and obviously the goal came from that an incredible header from McCowan, really.
Yeah.
So it could be done. And there was a couple of other moments. Alistair Johnston got round the back a couple of times.
Yeah.
Bernardo got in on a quick free kick, couldn't get the ball across, and so forth. So there were other moments, and Ida had his great chance, of course, as well. So it really, up to their goal, it was kind of just, when are we going to score the second? And I had no real concerns as such. As I say, 'cause it looked like we were moving the ball quite quickly. But Dundee kind of forced the game to be played in a certain way, and I suppose you have to give them credit for that. They had a very specific game plan, which involved basically not getting pressed or counter pressed. So they just kind of, as soon as they had the ball, they just launched it as quickly and as far as they possibly could. I've only captured the data for the first half so far, and there wasn't a single pack turnover that Dundee gave up in that first half, not a single one, because they just weren't interested in engaging or in taking any risks at all with the ball at feet. The three huge centre halves and the goalkeeper, they just launched it every time they got it, and then the first throw in of the day, 30 seconds it took to take throw. It doesn't sound a lot, but if I shut up for 30 seconds and we all just sit here in silence, I can guarantee you it'd be a little bit awkward, right? The 30 seconds is quite a long time, and this every throw in was like this sort of performative kind of thing that take as much time as you can and so forth. So they had a very specific game plan. It was just to get the ball far away from their own goal as possible, to bypass the midfield and to try and play the game in as much as it was in Celtic's final third. And we kind of unravelled a little bit. I don't think either of the centre halves had a particularly great day. Trusty had a particularly skittish day. If you're gonna get all your mistakes in one game, then that's probably better than spreading them out evenly in the season, especially if you don't actually lose the game. And then you've got variance and positive variance for them, especially in the first goal, which was just an incredible sequence of events where Carter Vickers actually tries to head the ball into the net from a corner, and it goes kind of sideways. A lad, half-arse clearance. Bernardo anticipates it, gets a tackle in, and the ball breaks perfectly for two players just to charge up the pitch. They then try and pass it. McGregor intercepts the pass. and it falls perfectly to this lad to sweep it to the goal scorer. So that was a good pass, and the Adewumi did really well for the goal. It was a terrific finish from him. But there was to go from one end of the pitch to the other and take out the whole Celtic team and not a single pack pass. That is quite something. That's just kind of bonkers, really. But listen, these things do happen in football, and that's why we love it. And that got Dundee back in the game, so that gives them hope, of course. But yeah, in the second half, they just seemed to have that. Celtic did seem to kind of reduce in energy, and Dundee did definitely seem to increase in energy. And with that very kind of pared down game plan, where they weren't having to think really, it was a simple game plan. It didn't have to think too much about it. Just get it and launch it, and then fight for everything after that. They did very well in the game and got got a lot out of it. I like Tony Docherty actually. Every
Yes.
time we've played them, I know we've hammered them a few times, but he always has. He's always seems to have a thoughtful game plan. I wasn't being intending to be disrespectful when I said they had a simple game plan. Simple's good in football. I
Yeah.
talked about Adam Ida last week and how he needs, in my view, needs to simplify his game. Simple's good. Footballers, based on where they come from and their level of education, like simple, right? And it's good to simplify the game for most people in their jobs, to be fair. So I credit to them. We looked a bit tired. They'd had a whole week to think about this game plan and prepare for it. But they had a huge number of injuries, but they seem to have kind of worked a way around it, really. And fair play to them. So I think got to give them a bit of credit. I think Celtic are allowed to have an off day. The number of games they've had is just insane. Still only lost one game in the league. Of nearly, So I'm not minded to get too kind of critical, if I'm honest. So yeah.
Do you think Tony Docherty, James, learned quite a bit from Derek McInnes then under his tutelage? That's another. That's one.
Maybe what not to do at times.
Yes.
Because to his credit, he didn't put in the kind of brazen, mindless man-to-man marking, so that they could chase all of our players around.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview from all of us here at the Huddle Breakdown. We know you have options and we really appreciate you tuning in. To hear the rest of this episode and for much more Huddle Breakdown content, head on over to www.huddlebreakdown.com. We hope you consider subscribing. Thank you.